Hi, Andy XL back with my final regular season preview of the week's action and this latest podcast. So, this is my preview of week 18. So, the final week of the regular season is here, and we have 12 teams that have booked their postseason berth, but most of them still have reason to win in week 18 to improve their seeding in their own particular conference bracket. There are still two division titles up for grabs, and two of those divisions are win and you're in games this week in terms of making the postseason, with the loser packing their bags for home as a result. So let's take a look at the games with most riding on them first. And one of them is on the Saturday is the Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These are two teams in poor form that meet here to decide which one of them essentially reverses into the postseason. Except that the Panthers can lose and still make the postseason with help from the Falcons, whereas the Bucks have to win and then get help from the Saints. Rankings wise, this is the Panthers' 27th ranked offense versus the Bucks' 21st ranked defense, and the Bucks' 20th ranked offense versus the Panthers' 16th ranked defense, which give it the look of a close contest between two below average teams, which is pretty much the truth of the matter. But for me, the Bucks have more upside on their day due to the potential of their offense that was on display earlier in this season. When these two teams met in week 16, the Panthers just edged it by 23-20, though, as a last minute Baker Mayfield interception on the Carolina 30-yard line ended their chances of a game winning drive or tie-in drive. In that game, the Bucks wide receivers were kept pretty quiet, and that could be where the Bucks have an opportunity to turn it around in this game. Mike Evans had two big games against the Panthers last season, and the Bucks may well look to him to be the difference maker in this one. Running back wise, the Panthers are the seventh best team to face, so Bucky Irvin and Rashad White could be the key to this game too. They had 116 yards between them in the first meeting. Three Bucks injuries need monitoring ahead of this contest. Baker Mayfield is battling multiple injuries. I expect him to gut it out and play, but he will need his O-line to protect him given those injuries. So offensive tackles Tristan Wirfs and Luke Goedeke need to be healthy for that to happen. Wirfs is especially important in that regard. If all three play, I will take the Bucks to get the win with Evans and Irvin leading the way. But if they field a weakened O-line again, they could be in trouble. But I'll take the Bucks to win it 26-20 and make their way to the postseason. Then we've got the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is the other win in your in divisional title clash. The Ravens managed to get the win they needed in week 17, whereas the Steelers stumbled to defeat without DK Metcalf, thus setting up this game as the AFC North title decider. And with the Steelers still without the suspended Metcalf for this one and Lamar Jackson back for the Ravens, home field advantage may not be enough to get the Steelers to win here. The Steelers beat the Ravens 27-22 in week 14, but Metcalf accounted for nearly half of the Steelers' offensive yardage in that game. And that was the game Isaiah Likely dropped the ball entering the end zone, costing the Ravens a touchdown too. Another fact from that game was that the Ravens had 0 sacks and just one quarterback hit on Aaron Rodgers in that game. So they will certainly need to do better than that to get a win here. The Ravens have scored 22 or more points in 9 of the last 10 games. The Steelers may struggle to top 20 points without Metcalf and also tight end Darnell Washington as a red zone threat. Also, the aforementioned Isaiah Likely um, has done well in both games against the Steelers last season and had a touchdown in the first game this season, despite his horrendous error costing him and them another one. So I will take him as have a redemption game and Zay Flowers to be the ones to get the scores here. So I'm taking the Ravens to win this game and the AFC North with it. The Ravens by 27-20. The Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams may be in the postseason, but this clash has huge significance as the winner will be the NFC West champions and also the top seed from the NFC for the postseason, with all the advantages that brings. Rankings wise, the 49ers seemingly face an uphill battle here as their 8th ranked offense comes up against the Seahawks' 4th ranked defense, and their 16th ranked defense needs to handle Seattle's 5th ranked offense. However, when the two met in week 1, the 49ers came out on top 17-13 despite two picks by Brock Purdy. A lot of time has passed since that game, so it does not really hold a lot of relevance in regard to who wins this game, but it's still worth recording. It is difficult to imagine there will be much in this one, so one or two big plays could be decisive here. The 49ers are giving up far more to opposing wide receivers, as the Seahawks D has been the fifth toughest on opposing wide receivers they have come up against. Neither team has been great against tight ends, while Seattle have been the toughest on opposing running backs, although they do give up yardage to receiving backs such as Christian McCaffrey. The 49ers appear to be the team with a more dynamic offense to me and will surely try to limit the impact of Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is going to be a common theme from here on in, I think, to restrict the Seahawks offense to a pound it out on the ground team. As I say, this is going to be a really tight contest, but the 49ers have the greater star power, so I will take them to edge this in a hugely important win for them. 24-23. It's going to be a thriller. Right, let's have a look at some other games. New Orleans at Atlanta Falcons. As I said, this could have relevance if Tampa have beaten Carolina. Because, although neither of these teams can make the postseason, it does have ramifications for which one of the Panthers or Bucks will make the postseason, as a Falcons win would eliminate the Bucks, regardless of whether they've won against Carolina or not. So the Panthers are in the driving seat, really, but they'll be looking for Atlanta to help them out. Bucks need the Saints to help them out. When these two teams met in Week 12, the Falcons won it 24-10, and both teams are on a 4-game win streak coming into this one. In that Week 12 game, there were only 6 points in it until a deep touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins to Darnell Mooney with 11 minutes to go allowed the Falcons to pull clear of the Saints. A key in that game was the Falcons' pass rush that sacked Tyler Shough 5 times and had 9 quarterback hits and forced a fumble from Shough for good measure. Drake London also missed that Week 12 meeting and is back for this one. So I have to fancy the Falcons to win this one. And like I say, that could be curtains for the Bucks. But it could be a close call. I'll take the Falcons to win it 23-20. Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars will look for a win here to secure the AFC title. It will also allow them to watch Denver and New England in the late window, hoping they both lose to make the Jags the 1 seed in the AFC postseason bracket. And against the Titans team that ranks 30th for offense and 25th for defense, it will take a major choke from the Jags for them not to win this game. Quarterbacks and wide receivers have done well against the Titans, whilst the Jags have been really tough on opposing running backs. So look for Trevor Lawrence to utilise Brian Thomas, Jacoby Myers and Parkin Washington to good effect here as they limit the Titans on the ground, and their ball-hawking T gets at least a pick or two from Cam Ward for good measure. All of which should lead the Jags to an easy win that make them divisional champions and at worst the 3 seed in the AFC. So I'm taking the Jags to win that one by 31-20. The Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. If the Jags do manage to lose to the Titans somehow, the Texans can take the AFC South and that 3 seeding by beating the Colts, who will start Riley Leonard at quarterback in this one. The Colts' 9th ranked offense will once again need to lean on their 8th ranked ground game and Jonathan Taylor here. Their 21st ranked defense, that actually ranks 14th for touchdowns conceded, will look to be the latest team to stop the Texans from scoring touchdowns and limit them to field goals. But even if they do that, can they make a dent in the fearsome number 1 ranked Texans defense? The Texans have managed to score 20 or more points in each of their last 6 games, so we'll look to keep the Colts to less than 20 to get the win here. Only 3 teams have managed to reach that 20-point mark against the Texans in their last 10 games. This is about as tough a test as Leonard could face at quarterback. The Texans are the 2nd toughest team for opposing quarterbacks to face this season, and with Taylor unlikely to record more than 1 touchdown in this game, the Jags in Week 3 and the Seahawks in Week 6 are the only teams to have 2 rushing touchdowns against the Texans this season. That could see the Colts fall short of that 20 points that they probably need to win this game. The Texans beat the Colts 2016 in Week 13, and with home advantage and a rookie quarterback making his first start against them here, I expect the Texans to win this one more comfortably. So I'm going to take the Texans to win by 23 points to 13. Ka'imi Fairbairn will have another good week. Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos. With just the 5, 6 or 7 seed to play for, the Chargers will rest quarterback Justin Herbert for this game, and maybe others will join him in street clothes on Sunday. which should give the Broncos every chance of getting the win they need to lock up the top seed from the AFC. Trey Lance will have the task of trying to get the better of one of the best defenses in the league, but the Chargers have a fine defense too, so do not think this is going to be a cruise to the Broncos. Denver have only 2 games this season, have won only 2 games this season by more than 8 points. And as long as the Chargers do not bench most of their starters, I think they will at least make life tough for the Broncos here, possibly more. Titans have done pretty well in terms of yardage against Denver, so a Rondé Gadsden could be a target Trey Lance looks to utilise here, and he may well need to utilise him plenty, as the Broncos are the toughest team on opposing wide receivers this season. They are also third toughest on opposing running backs, so the onus may be on Lance to deliver via the passing game and maybe via a scramble or two as well. I can see this being a low scoring game though, and the kickers could be crucial here. Will Lutz is only 6 of 10 beyond 40 yards when kicking field goals this season for Denver, whereas Cameron Dicker is 17 of 19 beyond 40 yards. So that Lutz weakness in field goal kickers, is one to monitor for Denver throughout the postseason. But in terms of relevance to this game, I think that might give the Chargers an edge. So I'm going to take the Chargers on the basis they field most of their starters to win this one via the boot. I'm going to take the Chargers to win a low-scoring game, 19-17. Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. If the Broncos do lose to the Chargers, the Patriots can take the AFC top seeding with a win in Miami. The Dolphins rank 23rd for offense and 21st for defense, but Devon Achane in the ground game have been their offensive load bearers, ranking 14th for the ground attack. But he has not participated this week in practices with a rib injury, so he's got to be a question mark for this game, Achane. The Patriots rank 5th for offense and 6th for defense, but they are stronger against the run than the pass, so this looks to be a good matchup for them anyway. And I really expect the Patriots to score plenty here. They've scored 23 or more in each of their last 13 games, topping 30 in 6 of those games. The Dolphins have scored more than 21 points just once in their last 6 games. So I really think this should be a comfortable win for the Patriots. Drake May, Hunter Henry, and the running back duo of Tre'Von Henderson and Rhamondre Stevenson could be the ones to lead the way for the Pats in this game as they win it 27-17. Right, the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. The Bears will be the 2 or 3 seed in the NFC post-season bracket. Getting the 2 seed will ensure home field advantage up until the NFC Championship game, if they can progress that far. Somewhat appropriately, the Lions are just playing for pride here. Jared Goff and the Lions scored 52 against the Bears way back in week 2, and I expect them to put up big numbers again here, even if Amon-Ra St. Brown is limited or does not play. But the Bears may do likewise in what has the look of an absolute shootout, with the Bears potentially being more cautious in terms of avoiding injuries ahead of the postseason. I'm actually going to take the Lions to pull off a shock win here. I'm going to take the Lions 31-27. Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are in the same position as the Bears in terms of seedings in the NFC, but a win for them and a Bears loss would make them the 2 seed. The Commanders are just waiting for the season to end. The Eagles have allowed a number of players to rest and miss practice this week, including Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, and Jalen Phillips on the defensive side of things. But with the Commanders starting 39-year-old quarterback 3 Josh Johnson, that should not prevent them winning this game easy. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win this one 27-17. As we go down these games, it gets more and more random because you really don't know what teams are going to do in terms of who's going to play, who's not going to play. But the next game, Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams will be the 5 or 6 seed in the NFC, so not much riding on this for them. But certainly more than there is for the Cardinals. And off back-to-back losses, they are playing their starters. The Rams are going to play their starters this week in an effort to regain lost momentum ahead of the postseason. Now, the Rams hammered the Cardinals 45-17 in week 14, and they could well do something similar again here. So I'm going to take the Rams to win that 34-20. The New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are going to be the 5, 6, or 7 seed. If they lose here, they will be the 7 seed. If they win, losses for either or both the Chargers and the Texans could see them climb a spot or 2 up the sound seedings. But one stage this week, it looked like Mitch Trubisky could be starting this game, but now Josh Allen is going to. How long he stays in this game we'll see. Because if they're blowing the Jets out, I can't see him taking any risks with him on that ankle. So Trubisky could still see some playing time. Um, with or without Allen, the Bills should have too much for the Jets and get the win. James Cook had a big game when the Bills beat the Jets 30-10 in week 3, and the same MO could be in use here. So look for James Cook to be the driver as the Bills, going back to a regular score I seem to be using this week, win this one 27-17. Now the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings, with the Packers locked in as the 7th seed in the NFC, this does not have anything but divisional pride riding on it. With the Vikings looking to finish strongly at home and JJ McCarthy auditioning for the starting quarterback role next season, and the Packers having plenty of reason to rest players, this should give the Vikings the result they want to send their fans home with hope for next season. But the Packers defense did give McCarthy and Co a hard time in week 12, limiting them to just 6 points. So this could be a lowish scoring affair, but I still fancy the Vikings will win this one. 23-16 is how I see it. The Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams are out of the postseason, so this game is just about showing what you have got to the coaching staff who decide who stays and who goes to 2026. The Bengals have scored 30 or more in 4 of the last 5 games. The Browns have given up 198 points in 7 road games, as opposed to 163 in 9 home games. That's an average of 28 points a game conceded on the road and just over 18 at home. So they're clearly more vulnerable on the road. So the Bengals could well go over 30 points again here. And with the Browns averaging less than 14 points on offense on the road, this has the look of a rout for the Bengals. The other question here is, can Myles Garrett get the sack he needs to set a new single season record? While the Browns have 51 sacks this season, Garrett has 22 of them, just over 40% of the Browns' total sacks. The Bengals have allowed 34 sacks at just over 2 a game this season. Combining those numbers will give the Browns 2.5 sacks in this game. 40% of 2.5 is 1, so Garrett may well get the record here. Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. A traditional rivalry game adds spice to what is otherwise a meaningless game, apart from deciding who gets overall first pick in the 2026 draft. The Cowboys may be short at running back for this game, but the Giants have rested plenty of their starters in practice this week. If that pattern is repeated come game time, the Cowboys will score plenty in a win over the Giants here. So I'll take the Cowboys by 34-20. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders is the final game of the week I'm looking at. Same game here for the two teams in terms of being a rivalry game, and the Raiders in terms of how early a draft pick they get. There seems to be an assumption the Raiders are tanking to get the first overall draft pick, but at home to a traditional rival, I'm not sure I buy into that narrative. The Chiefs may be without more starters than the Raiders for this game, so I'm actually going to take a chance on the Raiders winning a low-scoring game here by 20-17. So that's my Week 18 preview. Enjoy the games, and I'll be back with a very soon, probably Monday, with a brief update on the quarterback picture for the 2026 draft, with that seemingly being shaken up by the recent results in college. So some changes there that might be interesting. And also we're now getting to the time when the transfer window opens, as it were, for players to enter the transfer portal in college. So there's a lot of players making decisions as to whether they're going to go that route or join the draft. So look for that update on Monday. But enjoy this weekend's action, some thrilling games, and we'll finally know the full postseason picture and the first 18 picks of the draft, which order they'll be set in after this week's actions. So see you soon.